Congresswoman, I feel really grateful. You and I have had a few conversations, and the very first one we had was about legislation you were introducing to talk about proxy voting if you were on maternity leave in Congress. And this one now is about IVF. And you said this to Vanity Fair: "I didn't anticipate being the one leading the charge, but here I am." Can you talk a little bit about that for us? Why are you at the forefront of these types of issues?
I think it's because I'm, again, the youngest female member of Congress on the Republican side. As you know, we're in the majority, but also these issues, unfortunately, have not been addressed previously by other members that have given birth. I want to go back to the topic of IVF for a second. You would think that this is supposed to be bipartisan, but what we saw recently is right after the Alabama ruling, I was literally placed on a bill without my permission. And ultimately, because I had to remove my name then, you had Democrats trying to make this a partisan issue, saying that Republicans didn't support it when it simply wasn't true. And then I recently saw a press conference with Christina Aguilera and Jill Biden saying that Republicans were somehow trying to block, at the federal level, were trying to block IVF legislation, which again was also not true. And then even just hearing some of the comments that you just had read to me, it seems like Democrats are trying to, paint me, the one person that is supportive of this on the Republican side and really helping to lead out this effort, as some extremist that's trying to ban it, which is simply not the case. So I think that, I have been, in a sense, kind of thrust into this position, which I don't mind, and I don't mind having those hard conversations. But again, previously, childbirth in Washington, D.C. is not common. I think I stated to you in a previous interview that, I'm 0.01% of the members that have ever given birth. And so I would hope that those same people that are voicing how supportive they are on IVF would not make it partisan, and I would gladly have them on both my vote by proxy bill and also my IVF bill. But if you look at the names of the people that say one thing, and if they're willing to actually put their money where their mouth is, you can see and make those answers yourself.
I want to talk about the logistics here a little bit. When you say that you were added to this bill without confirmation, what does that mean, and how common is that?
So typically when members will get another member on the bill, what happens is they bring a floor card. It kind of has the loose pitch, maybe top bullet points of what the legislation is. And then the member will say, I'll look at it more. I'm going to bring it back to my staff. In this current event with what's happened with the IVF bill, I was approached on the floor. The Democrats know that I've co-sponsored previous IVF legislation. So I'm kind of one of the few Republicans that will actually help to champion a bill like that. There are many people that support it, but they don't want to be the ones taking charge on it. So they came to me, talked to me about it. I said, let me take a look at it. Okay, fine. But because of what happened with the ruling, I think the staff in the other office added me to it, and then they pushed it forward to say, hey, look, we have a IVF bipartisan piece of legislation. And as you guys know, there were some things that brought me some concern. And so we wanted to remove ourselves, and then they try to say that I was not IVF pro IVF when I am. And so that's why you kind of saw that happen. So to answer your question, basically in short, it is not common for someone to be added without their permission. But unfortunately, in this circumstance, I was.
When you say many support it, but few take charge, why do you think that is?
I think that a lot of people don't want to get involved in this discussion of what constitutes life, if IVF is considered abortion. What is IVF? It's a topic that, unless you really, I think, have a strong biology background, a strong science background, I think it can be confusing to some. And so that's why I say that when IVF is done in a responsible fashion, I don't know if you guys remember that story of Octomom a few years back, but I remember the story, and there's a reason why it's not common practice now for doctors to do that. It can put the mother and the children at risk. And also this concept of, what happens with the frozen embryos. There's a massive discussion that I think with current science needs to be had. But I think that when it's done again, in a very responsible fashion, you have clinical diagnosis under doctor supervision. You could even do a one embryo, one fertilization transfer. That's something that hasn't been discussed before, but people don't want to have that conversation because they don't want to get hit from their side. They don't want to get hit from other sides. But, I've had awkward discussions before, and so I don't shy away from it.